Hello, everyone. I am Claudiu Murgan, the host of the Spiritual Inspired podcast. And my guest today is Olga Radocaj. Olga is a shamanic Reiki healer, yoga teacher, sound therapist, and author, along with holistic health coach. She helps with the healing of vibration of the past to dissolve and release energies that don't belong to you. Olga thinks that the three most important medicines on earth are forgiveness, kindness, and compassion. Her healing work brings a fresh and unique perspective on the mystery of life on Earth as guided by the higher consciousness. In her search for truth and wisdom, she also explored teachings of the light work of Tibetan Reiki, Lemurian, Dolphin, Kundalini, and Karuna key Reiki modalities. Later in her healing journey, she discovered shamanism, which completely transformed her life. You can find more about her work at www.theinnerhealing.ca. Olga, thank you very much for joining the show today.
Thank you very much, Claudio, for inviting me.
You know, I usually ask my guests how they step on their spiritual path, and this time I want to change the format. I'd like to know when you consciously started on your spiritual journey.
Well, I actually had to consciously was when I enrolled in my first Hatha Yoga teacher's course to become a yoga teacher. And prior to that, I was practicing yoga, Hatha Yoga, just by myself or in studio. So that was actually the trigger which brought into my life all these modalities you read just almost at the same time or just one after another, which was really hard on me at some times because it was too much. But my first near-death experience happened when I was about 3 years old, and I didn't know for a long time that that was what happened until I was working in my doing my shamanic work. And at that time, I was actually initiated more into intellectual work. And I was reading and reading was always best in the class. I just wanted to know everything that books offer to us. So whenever teacher would ask something, I would know whatever answer to all questions, right? And that continued through my teenage years, through my university life. I completed 2 master's degrees, then later on a PhD. I was always into research and I wanted to contribute to the world. So I guess with this initiation, first one was my contribution to the world in terms of science, that I would leave something after me. Like at the end, we are asked not who we are with the label of the title, but what we did and what we left after us. So that was in the food science field, which really made me complete in that area. But then I was always searching for healing modalities. My father died when he was 55, and for the longest time, I almost had a guilt that I couldn't help him. I just felt there must be something, and if I could have helped him, he would live longer. Not understanding at the time, that was like almost 30 years ago, that it was his karma. So his short lifespan was part of his karmic relations and whatever he needed to do. But also that shamanic work helped me understand better about karma and to release all these feelings that I had in terms of sadness, I should say, because of this. And my mother died quite early in her early retirement. So anyhow, I was searching for it, and I did attend, like after Hatha Yoga, I became Kundalini yoga teacher. That teacher was opening through these different kinds of meditation portal for me to understand that there is possible healing from different perspective. And that's how one day just Reiki came on my path. I just heard the voice, which is universe, right? Because universe has a plan for us. And that was Reiki. Like, I've heard the word before, I never really was triggered to go and search. And then I found the teacher and I did all these modalities because finally I found the modality that was showing results and I could help people, like heal myself at the same time and help people. So it was in search of healing, which was really holistic, which was natural, which was with the light, from the higher consciousness, nothing to do with allopathic medicine and drugs, etc., toxic substances. And that's how I continued basically on the path. But it was not me who was looking for, let me now put another tool in my box. It was all, I was always guided, and somehow email would show up, message would come, friend would say something that was at the time something that I needed to explore further in order to master the skills. And the point is, even with all these shamanic modalities I was doing, many people who completed all these courses with me never did the healing, and they just did it for sake of doing it. But I really used it because, as we know, wisdom is experiential. So the knowledge and information that we gather once we experience them, that's how we come to the wisdom.
Yes, so many things to unpack. Thank you for explaining that. And I will start with what you said at the beginning, that you studied a lot and you like to read, and you wanted to know as much as possible. And I am the same. But at the same time, there is this battle within us. We want to know as much as possible, but at the same time, we have the awareness that if we connect with the higher consciousness, with the divine, with the God of our understanding, we will know everything at the same time. So I think this internal battle, what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep reading as much as possible, or I'm going to allocate as much time as possible to meditating, introspection, and because you think in your mind, in your subconscious, that if you don't get to that state of higher consciousness, you have to read more. So it's that internal battle. And the second point is, indeed, we go through courses, we go through this type of teaching or learning experiences, but we are short on applying them and better ourselves through the application of what we learn. So indeed, thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, it's integration that it's called. So anything that we do, even when we explore the fantastic wisdom of entheogens, at the end, if we do not integrate these teachings and apply them, it's just useless, everything, all efforts that we made to do it. So yes, so in 2019, again, the voice came, which told me about Paramahansa Yogananda. And that's how we met, in the Kriya Yoga ashram. Yes. By self-realization fellowship. At that time, although I had the book, I forgot about that book, Autobiography of a Yogi. But the name came in one of my shamanic meditations. It's like, who is he? Why he? And then I realized now Kriya Yoga was put on my path. So that was just one of modalities. I also then did quite few in terms of yogic modalities. But this studying of their teachings helps me to open up further my consciousness, which was enhanced actually with my second near-death experience, but that happened in 2018, which was really profound. When I thought I would die in the process, I was not aware of this happening. It was actually, no, that was Kundalini awakening, Kundalini awakening, which I did not realize at the moment that was it until the process was done. And then in 2017 was, prior to that, just a few months apart, was this second near-death experience, which opened up further me as a being to be open to the higher consciousness and to really start the path. So that happened really in October of 2017, which was really, really profound. And then coupled with this Kundalini awakening, exactly, I didn't ask for it, it just came, right? And unexpectedly. So that when Paramahansa Yogananda came into my picture, it was like what to do now, and that was meditation in silence and stillness. And I was doing this for years, for that year, like true silence and stillness is really without media, without phone. I was doing it up to 36 hours, where channeling of this book that I published, The Wisdom from the Higher Consciousness, came. And all these points that you made about teachings, learnings, and outside external knowledge, which is already inside us, we only realize when we come to that point to realize, like of the self-realization. So that book really was healing for me, because I got answers to so many questions that I asked, as well as things that I was ready to hear, although I didn't ask for it. So basically, that's how I rounded my spiritual path at the moment, by exploring really through shamanism more and more, and through these deep meditations and Kriya Yoga, which I practice very, very often, where I really get connected with the higher consciousness. And right now I'm working on Forgiveness by Letting Go, which will be book, but also a course where was based basically on Ho'oponopono, but because that is Hawaiian ancient kind of method of forgiveness, this I was guided to do it as afiemi, which is a Greek word for forgiveness by letting go. And now I am channeling meditations, which will be part of it, and I'm very excited about it. So then the point is, why am I doing it? Because I still have things in myself to let go and to forgive by doing it. So it's my healing at the same time. And I am really thankful and grateful to the cosmic intelligence for these opportunities.
Yes, there are so many ropes keeping us behind and attached to sometimes menial things and menial thoughts and menial activities from the past, and it's very hard to cut through, and as you said, let go and move forward to a better pasture. But going back to your second NDE, if possible, to share with us, did you get any specific message or a message which was totally unexpected for you, in case you can share?
Of course I can. Well, I actually was unconscious from the standing position. I fell on the floor and was unconscious for 45 minutes alone in the house. And when I was waking up on the floor in the kitchen, I'm thinking, like, why am I on the floor? I never meditated so deeply that I lost my consciousness. What's going on? I can't move my hands. I am in the kitchen on the floor. And then I remembered, oh, that's what happened. So I actually lost my consciousness. But I was praying when I was realizing that I am alive. I was asking immediately, the first question was, why this happened to me? And the answer from the higher consciousness came that, like, first thing was quit the job, which I started just several months prior to that, let's say in June. So that happened in October. Quit the job. And the second was look at the world from different eyes. So this with job was kind of okay, but why, right? I entered different industry, and everybody needs income and things like that. But like, okay, I have to quit the job because, and I realized later on what happened, that was really very toxic environment and stuff, not good for my soul. But the second one, look at the world from different eyes, that was puzzling me, I have to say, for a few years, because I really didn't fully understand the meaning of it. And then I did some meditation, through my meditations and connections, to check what was the true meaning. But then one day it came as which is really shamanic point of view. You look at the world from your heart, and that's the core of all these teachings, and really preparing yourself for the fifth dimension, leaving this 3D on earth, where we are for our souls to evolve. So it was to open the heart. It was to, that's why I think this Kundalini awakening, spontaneous Kundalini awakening happened because all was about the heart. And then what happened was like this kind of huge globe, which was pale gold colored with a cord attached to my head. That was the most beautiful moment, and I felt like I was floating. I really was not in this world. And after that, for 3 days, like 24 hours, information started to come to me in terms of split-second long images, which I couldn't even follow. That was unbearable. Of different places, of different faces, of different people, which to me was like past lives, current life, future lives, everything at the same time. I was just praying and was listening to some mantras all day long for this to stop, because I was thinking, what in the world I'm going to do with all this information? Why do I need it? I don't know yet, but this was coming and perhaps helped me even with channeling this book. I don't know yet, have not discovered this mystery yet, but that was something that I was trying to read after that. Basically, what happened to other people, they would usually report white light and tunnel and stuff. It was different for me, right? But it was good because I did quit a job. And I started really to focus on my healing business and and yoga classes and everything like that, which is really, as my website is called, the Inner Healing, like discover your inner self. And I really promote and advise everybody to do long meditation in silence and stillness, because only then we get in touch with our soul and we are able to discover all this vast knowledge that is already within us. We just have to reach to get it.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing. And I know from firsthand testimonial, an acquaintance who attended a webinar of or a face-to-face or in-person event with Dr. Dispenza, who had pretty much an instantaneous healing. He afterwards started to see these type of downloads, and he was telling us that I have no idea what the meaning is. I cannot decode them. There are just flashes in my mind, but I feel great. So
Yes.
this is all he wanted to know and be sure that his health has improved and it will stay at that level. But at that point in time, he couldn't tell why the messages were coming and how to decode them. So it's in line with what you just said. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, I haven't heard about this, but thank you. Yeah, because I thought I was going crazy. I never explored by that time what would mental illness be or something like that, but that's why I was praying just to stop, because I was thinking like, oh, I will never use this information. But yeah, I survived the test. So that was test of life, actually.
Yes, for sure. Olga, you mentioned several times, and even I mentioned in the introduction, that you are very attached to, let's say, shamanism. It's an important component of your life, and you studied with renowned teachers such as Michael Harner, Don Oscar Miro Quesada, Sandra Engelman, and Hank Wesselman. Why is shamanism so important to you, and what techniques do you use when working with clients?
That really changed my life. This is such profound healing method that when I do this so-called journey to non-ordinary reality, where we detach from our ego and only soul gets connected again, we call it like helping spirits, which could be on in either like higher level, lower level. Like there is no really low world and high world. It's just a middle world. That's how it's just described. So I discovered in that deep healing modalities, which helped me heal myself to the point, but some of my shamanic friends also healed me. And it is this alchemical healing, which is Egyptian shamanism, which I, because of my previous past life in Egypt, attracted me with Nikki Scully. And this all of this showed such quick results, such profound results, and helped me. So how I do my healing session with the client is basically that I first do this journey to non-ordinary reality where I do diagnostics, and I get with the person at the moment, whatever are energies in the field of the person, what could be more on the subconscious level, person may not be even aware of it, or is deeply buried in the trauma somewhere in the body that person even forgot or never knew. So that journey helps me do diagnostics, and then I get information about which modalities to use for healing, which crystals to use, which sound, which instrument to use, and then which herbs or crystals the person needs to take after if they choose to. And then I do the healing session, where could be quite emotional for the people, and after that I share whatever else information comes through the healing session. And people are usually amazed with information, because there are information that I am telling them which they never shared with me. So that's why I'm saying it's not us who know. We don't know anything. We just get connected and we receive information for it. So shamanic healing methods that I learned and I practiced really helped. I have to say I had hundreds of clients, and they are so effective. Not good for my business, but I was never greedy for the money. It was 1, 2, or 3 sessions that people attended. I think most was 3 or 4, where people felt so good and healed, especially those who continue to do whatever was advised, not by me again, but by the higher consciousness, that really help them. So it makes me happy to help people get healed.
Yes.
When I found these methods very, very effective, I have to say, because I really do it from the heart. I do it for the best of the client.
Yeah, and it's always good to do that, because word of mouth is free advertising, free promotion, and you will always get clients which are happy with the results. And the faster the results, the happier the client, the faster the overall healing, not only at the individual level, but as humanity. So the more people we heal, the faster we heal them, the better the energy around the earth, and it's beneficial for everyone.
Yes, so we basically build collective consciousness. We help raise vibrations, because ultimate mission for us, for this earth, is to raise vibrations, and to possibly go, if not to the 5th, to the 4th at least, which is intermediary between, but to look at the world from the place of heart and love, right? And to share only good, not to share anything that is negative.
You're so right. And I know you also attended some plant medicine ceremonies. How those work for you? I mean, did you get any benefits out of it?
Absolutely. So I had 3 ayahuasca ceremonies, and I actually, through my meditation, my shamanic work, I got prepared for them, and I knew exactly what to heal at the time. So I had fear, I was planning to do it for about 2 years, but there was fear within me of the process and of the outcome, which was simply, I was not ready for it, right? For the teacher, because these plant medicines are our greatest teachers, I believe. And I actually healed parts of myself that needed to be healed, and I learned through the process that certain things you cannot heal. You can only heal yourself. You cannot even heal the relationship. You can only heal yourself as individual. And some were very profound in terms of images. Again, these were in one of these sessions, I received so many different images that was, again, almost unbearable in terms of intricacy and all these things, but so many different messages that I applied in my life. So again, this integration takes time, and therefore you need to have a gap between these ceremonies in order to be able to integrate. So for this entheogens, any you try, and I only tried once recently mushrooms with the breath work, it's integration. So if we apply and integrate all of these teachings, we receive the messages, that's how our healing will happen, right? So I would recommend anyone who is ready to try, because it's only healing, and it's healing from the consciousness of these plants, which most of the humans cannot even comprehend. So it's not to consume something and be lost, as people do with some different chemicals. It's really the wisdom of the higher consciousness through these plants that are carefully designed for us to help us open our consciousness. So the totally different experience was with psilocybin, which was a very beautiful shamanic ceremony done by my friend, which was like cacao ceremony with the mushrooms. A small dose I took with breath work, and this breath work brought me back to Lemuria, which is actually place we all came from, which lives still in the fifth dimension, and I got profound teachings from that experience as well, which I applied, and therefore doing this book now on forgiveness through letting go, that came through this mushroom ceremony as something that I need to do.
Interesting. And just to underline one more time that this plant medicine, like ayahuasca, San Pedro, mushrooms, psilocybin, these are not addictive. You don't create dependencies on these plants. And you can have 5 ceremonies within 10 days period, but you don't feel like going back on the 12th day to have more. It's just you have it, and then, as you mentioned, you go and integrate. And based on my personal experience and experience of others, my guests, which I interviewed, not two ceremonies are alike. You can be very high on one day and experience amazing images and have specific stimuli. And on the second ceremony, which is a day apart, it might be very smooth, very subtle. You might get no messages and could be part of the integration process. And then on the third one, you can be again up on the roller coaster. So yes, it's very different for every individual, and every ceremony is different by itself.
Yes, so for example, my first one was quite intense because, as we know, these plants are teaching, medicinal plants are teaching us through their vibrations. So high vibrations that I experienced, which was healing. So that was a deep healing for me. And it happened for me to be back to back. So day one, exactly what you mentioned, day one, quite intensive, and the day 2 I said I really need a lower dose because of my heart palpitations and other stuff. And that second day was the most beautiful experience I really ever had, because I experienced Divine Mother's love and the color of this paley peach color. I was all into that, which lasted for 2 weeks. But that was my experience of divine love and connection with that source, which I wish all humans can experience, because this is a true bliss. So yes.
Yeah, and 2 components which we pretty much always forget to apply when we do these type of ceremonies is surrendering and have no expectations. And we sometimes fail miserably to apply them, because otherwise I think by doing that the results will be magnificent.
Exactly. So it is surrender to the consciousness, to the cosmic intelligence for whatever our soul is ready to experience. Therefore, no expectations. You are absolutely correct.
Olga, I would like to go a little bit deeper into the Reiki modalities, which I mentioned in the introduction, like Lemurian, Dolphin, Kundalini, and Karuna key. What are the main differences, and how do you apply them with clients?
So basically, all Reiki modalities, and there are many more, at the end, the base for it is Reiki, which was channeled by Dr. Mikao Usui, which was brought to the West from Japan to Hawaii to the US to Canada, throughout the world. So anyone who wants to do, and even Kundalini Reiki, like, you first have to complete all other modalities. And this is the only healing modality that I know of that you really go through real attunement. So you get attuned to these different symbols with this specific method, and you feel that you are opening. So that helped me tremendously, because when I started doing this, that opened up my consciousness, like from a very slow street to a very high-speed highway. And it is basically, so that's the healing with the white light, with these specific symbols, which are for different issues in our lives to heal. Other modalities evolved as advanced ones. So if you say, I want to learn, there is nothing to learn. I mean, you learn, but again, you apply it and you add your own energies to it and your own wisdom, which you get through this experience. So basically, Kundalini Reiki has now different symbols. This is more focused on awakening Kundalini and making sure this energy flow. Dolphin Reiki it exists as such modality, which was channeled by some people, but this specific one was channeled by myself, and it's a little bit different than attunement and everything else, which is to bring specific modality to bring you more joy and happiness into your life. So it's to work on your heart by subduing ego. So there is quite a work to be done by each individual in order to do that, to get to that point. Then Lemurian healing, that was something I channeled in 2015. And that is one that I always use. So I use all the symbols from Usui's system of Reiki, and then anything else that comes that I use during the healing session. So I channel it when I heal. That's all through channeling. So although I did diagnostics before, things change quite often because people may change their energy field, between my journey, which usually happens 1 or 2 days prior to appointment, which could be either distance or in person. There is no difference, as we know, because there is no time and space. Human invented it. And then, so this Lemurian healing is very, very Reiki. I mean, very powerful, because for anything, any disbalances, that's the word that I got through my channeling, that I ask for, I channel the symbol, and herb comes and crystal comes with it. Sometimes also like short affirmation. So that is what I always use. Karuna means in Sanskrit like love and compassion. So that is to, again, open the heart. And again, it's in addition to Usui system of Reiki with symbols for heart, for dissolving the past. So that's all like these karmic relations and stuff like that. So in a nutshell, this would be differences. And there are some other modalities, many people claim they channel it, but there is one very interesting which I will explore, because I'm very drawn to Egyptian shamanism. As I said, I practice, but there is also Sekhmet Reiki, which now only few people can attune you into, and that's on my list to do, but only because I know these are now much higher vibrations, like Dolphin Reiki, Lemurian Reiki, they bring you higher vibrations. So not that everybody who tells me I want to go through that, I do assessment, I only communicate this, but through my journey, I make assessment, because these are higher energies that people cannot handle possibly. So this Sekhmet Reiki, I reached now that level that I am ready to receive this high level of vibrations through these different levels of attunements to explore, because you feel you feel connected to places or people who are big part of your past lives. So it doesn't matter how far, how many eons you go back, there are sometimes glimpses and just almost urges to go to the places because of the energies to feel and to connect with. And it's again all about our own healing as well.
Yes, there are so many modalities out there. We should call them traditional because they are so old, ancient. They are traditional methods of healing. And another one, which is not on the radar of the, let's say, medical establishment, is the sound healing as an alternative healing modality. Do you think that it will be taken more seriously anytime soon?
I believe and know process already has started, and I am very happy about it. So where I feel my deep, profound connection is with Tibetan sound bowls. So I have completed some courses, these days, like especially America, but entire world, everybody's crazy about certificates. You have to get certificate, but it's actually more for the insurance purposes in order to do these modalities as a healer. So that's the only thing. So I have completed some and learned a lot about using these Tibetan bowls. So one of them, the lady was from France, where I use Tibetan bowls. This is for chakra balancing. And so these Tibetan bowls have such vibrations, and I have set of quite few, but they are all handmade. So it depends on how they are made, of their quality and the sound, because it's not the sound per se. These are vibrations that really work on our tissues, on the cell memory, to dissolve traumas across the universes and past lives we had. So I had a lady who actually is my Reiki student, and she came one day as exchange. She did Indian head massage, and I said, I'll do Tibetan sound healing for you. So these sessions are usually 1 hour, as other healing sessions I do. And she was saying, wow, at the end, like her experience was different than other people. She was saying that there was a pain somewhere in her body, which immediately was dissolved. But the way how some emotional baggage that she had dissolved was totally unexpected. So, and then she said, I didn't have any expectations, which is good, right? But she said, I thought it will be just nice kind of sound here and there, but such profound healing and release of emotional traumas she did not expect, because through these emotional traumas, physical pain was dissolved. So people use flutes, like especially native flutes. I also use handheld gong, which has very profound effect on the central nervous system and adjust the aura. I have tuning fork, which is used earth vibrations. I have the set of tuning forks. So again, whatever comes in my journey, and sometimes things also are added to the healing, even rattles that are used in shamanic healing, and this rain stick, these are invented, if I could say, by indigenous people. So they are around for thousands of years, right? So they have proven themselves as very powerful healers, because we get in touch with all elements
Yes.
that exist, and we are part, not just part of, we are made of all these elements. So yes, sound healing is, there are even scientific studies. So I try to put aside now this scientific background and urge that I have to explore further, but I still did, and I did find some research papers on effects of Reiki on this Ho'oponopono, as well as sound healing. So there are more and more even clinical studies that they are proving the effect of the sound. So there are all these ancient modalities that are used to help us heal. They are just around us, and we undermine them in terms of their healing power.
Yeah, I mean, the drumming and the rattling is the
Yes.
basis of every single shamanic course. Doesn't matter who you are taking with. they are going to have a recording of drumming or rattling while you are doing the journey. So, and on the other side, I'm glad that there's another scientist who crossed over the line into this invisible realm and energies and, you know, healing, because we need people like you to understand there is more to life. They could numbers and touch this object in order to realize that this is how the life should be. It's more than that. So we have the tangibles and the intangibles. And sometimes, as I discuss with other guests, the intangibles are much more dynamic and much more interesting than the tangible.
Absolutely, yes. So we are made of love, and everything is about energy. So science in any field you touch, especially medicine, modern medicine, they don't know what's going on. Like whatever they can measure and they invented instruments for, that's what counts. But there is so much, as you mentioned, which is invisible, that can be measured, and we know what to do and how to do it.
So Olga, the book you channel, the first book, what will people learn from it when they will read it?
It is basically the questions like, why are we on Earth? And that the Earth is the only 3D dimensional planet in the entire universe for all souls to come to evolve and to learn and teach, be taught their own lessons through karmic relations. So it is what are the low frequency vibrations, such as fear, anger, anger is a rather large chapter. Unfortunately, entire world has more angry people than ever. So how these low frequency vibrations are very detrimental to our health and health of those who are exposed to somebody's outburst of anger. So how to protect ourselves, heal ourselves. So a chapter about that, and tied to it is like in the chapter of high vibrations, which is forgiveness and kindness and compassion, to help us understand that this is the only way to transcend to the fifth dimension if we experience and share more of those, as well as high vibrational foods, and about meditation in silence and stillness, the healing methods, and everything else that would basically help us go smoother through this lifetime on Earth, to help ourselves to be in a better place and experience life on Earth as a joyful and happy journey.
Yeah, and you know what? Just a thought came to my mind because I read in the beginning that the most medicines on earth are forgiveness, kindness, and compassion. I would say our life is like food, but if we add salt and pepper, or if you add salt and pepper to food, is much more delicious. So the same to our life. If we add forgiveness, kindness, and compassion, life will become much more fulfilling.
Absolutely, yes, yes.
Olga, we are living through tumultuous times. What's your perspective on Earth and society in 2023, and how do you see us moving forward?
Well, what I learned and heard from my guides is that because Earth is just the biggest experiment, so created by the higher consciousness, we as beings there, and all these different eras and whatever was happening, going through Aquarian age, which is bringing higher vibrations and consciousness. So Earth is changing, but certain events took place that all was greed for money. Unfortunately, greed for money and anger and exploitation of the earth, of the people, of the animals, that is bringing Earth kind of backwards. Like, not that we are not progressing, but it's not at the pace that it was designed to be. And the only miracle or healing that could happen is to dissolve darkness with more light. As you mentioned earlier, more healers, more positive thinking, more positive communication, sharing love, sharing food, sharing extra that we have. This is what will raise vibrations, because we all also must balance feminine and masculine energies within us. But the most important thing is to open our hearts to the kindness, forgiveness, and compassion, and understand that we are everybody who was ever born on earth is different. We all have our own cosmic signature, so therefore there are no general rules, procedures, or anything that would apply to us. We need to be aware of what is the best for us and do it, but really help dissolve this darkness which is happening around. Like, these vibrations are much lower than they were supposed to be even now at this time. But we all hope, called it light workers, that we will help speed up the process in terms of awakening collective consciousness of the earth, of all beings on the earth, by sharing, simply by sharing and integrating what we learned so far. So we all hope for the better, right? But nothing will happen on its own. We all must contribute to it, right? We do our best in any way we can, grow the plants, do the healing, help people better understand, educate them through different, modalities. Still, people are not aware of what's going on, and they believe, government and politicians in all countries, that's all the same. There is no better or worse, it's just all bad. And we just have to realize the truth. So the truth, when we speak the truth and we teach our children, and that's what will help us raise vibrations, because otherwise there are lies around us and, brainwashing, which we shouldn't allow.
Yes, and the prerequisite for us stepping into the light and getting the kindness, the compassion, the forgiveness is to stop living in fear. Because this is what these kind and amazing guys you just mentioned at the top, I'm being sarcastic, of course, are trying us to maintain as a blanket on top of our heads, over our eyes, through manipulation and fear. And they will suck the energy out of us if we allow them to stay in deep fear. And for those who are younger than us, at least 20, 30 years, go back and watch Monsters Inc. That's the best visualization process of how someone can suck your energy through fear. And it's supposed to be a animated movie, but I think it's for adults, not for kids. Of course, if you understand the substrate and the subtleness of the message. So stay out of fear, step into the light, and everything will be just fine.
Absolutely. So that was like, even in my book, that was like this COVID situation. There was no COVID, as we know. That was the biggest experiment to see how much control anyone can apply, and how fear is a very potent weapon, unfortunately. So with love, we replace fear with love, right? So so the confidence that we grow, but that is coming again through our body, making sure that all energy vortices are fully open, so the energy can flow through us without obstruction. So then we can feel power within us from the solar plexus, that fear is just a mental mind ego. That's ego's work for the soul to be tamed, not to awake. So that was the whole plan, I believe, and still is, for us not to awake, not to show who we are, such capable people, right? but being controlled. And the good news is this era is coming to its end. We have to be patient, but we have to do our work. Each individual counts, right? Like light workers, to bring positive things into life, to dissolve as much darkness as we can, and to raise vibrations of the collective consciousness.
Yes, and through every single action we take, through food, through the water we drink, through anything we put in our bodies, we have to be aware of the quality of the ingredients, because even these simple steps will decrease or increase the vibration of our cells and the overlight vibration of the body. So please be careful what you eat, what you drink, even the air you breathe. Go outside the cities as much as possible, and walk, as I mentioned many times, walk barefoot, hug a tree. No shame in hugging a tree.
Right. That's again man-made thing. Like this person, we always get the label, right? This person must be crazy, but just go with your instinct and with your intuition and heal yourself. Exactly. Earthing is the best medicine to dissolve any low vibrations, because Mother Earth is so gracious and accepted. So we forget to thank many times Earth when we step off, but this healing is profound on many levels. Yes. Because our electromagnetic field is adjusted then as well. So yes.
Olga, such a lovely discussion, and we are approaching the end of the interview. Any final thoughts?
I believe we all have to follow our heart, because our soul lives in our heart. This is the seed for the soul. Follow our intuition, which is again all soul guided, and subdue ego, tame the ego as much as we can, because ego is the only purpose of it is to help us when we are in danger. And fortunately, this doesn't happen so often. So we need to step back and reevaluate every situation, every move and action that we are just about to do, by thinking, is this going to help me? Is this going to help collective, and my friend and anyone around, before we say something? So the whole process starts on the thought level, goes through the words and the actions. So we all have to be careful in expressing ourselves, because we want to share love and kindness and compassion only, right?
Thank you very much, Olga. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Claudio. It was lovely, and thank you again for inviting me.
Thank you. And you can find more about Olga and her work at www.theinnerhealing.ca. And to my viewers, please, thank you for watching it, like it, share it. Download a free copy of my book when you visit my website, claudiumurgan.com. And also a reminder that spiritualinspired.ca is a standalone website now. You can find our interviews on Roku, Apple TV, and other similar platforms now that we joined the Conscious Awareness Network. Until next time, love and gratitude.